times we'll run into where proper planning.
Warehouse layout and design, customized best practices. Well, here to speak with us about that today is Scott Pribula, market sector leader for manufacturers and distributors group at Trans Systems. Scott, welcome.
Hello, Russell.
Scott, a well thought out design. What would you say the drivers are behind such a thing?
A lot of it stems around doing the upfront work. A lot of our clients don't seem to put in the time and effort that's needed at the beginning of a project in order to determine the operational aspects, the functionality of the project itself, and knowing what is going to actually evolve that project. And what are the drivers behind that project? Is it quality? Is it safety? Is it cost? Is it schedule? These are the things that ultimately affect what goes into a project. And planning up front are the aspects that really provide a true full service solution to a project, enabling it to get to the end of the line.
You're not suggesting that occasionally somebody might want to launch into a project like this without having looked at all of these drivers, considered them, and come up with a very detailed plan, are you?
Well, in some aspects, that's the case. We will run into clients that will come to us and say that I need a 100,000 square foot building. And our first answer is going to be, how did you come up with that? And they'll come up with different reasons as to how they've come up with that actual solution for that. But what we like to do is actually put a caveat to it is, what does the operation look like? How much does it cost? What were the different things that promoted this? What is their schedule behind it? These are the things that are ultimately going to affect what are the drivers of the project and how they get to the finish line behind this thing. And a lot of times what we find is that because of our marketplace, it's speed to market. So some of these things are overlooked because of the timelines that are needed to get this project to the streets. So what we do is, let's take a step back and look at the different phases of the projects, the different operational aspects behind it, and let's figure out if they were done correctly.
Are there pitfalls then that you have experienced in projects like this before? What would some of those be?
Well, a lot of times we'll run into where proper planning wasn't put into where where's the second phase to the project line. Another one may be is that if there is a phase 2 to this, did you add in that into the design and put the specific provisions in for the other phases? We look at the flooring aspects of this as well. And when we get into actually putting joint lines in for the floors of these facilities, is that we like to put in something that's called a armor joint. And an armor joint is actually two metal angles that are put in these floor joints so that the fork trucks that go over them do not provide what they call spalling. Spalling is when the edges of the concrete actually break apart. And that's when you get a lot of maintenance aspects that goes onto the fork trucks. They're replacing the wheels all the time. You actually get welds break on the fork trucks as well. By putting these two metal joints into the floor, it allows for those edges not to break. And if they do get out of alignment, you can actually file them down so it's a smooth transfer into the things. So that's one of the things. The other things is that when you're designing the buildings is that they need bracing. And bracing are these large X-beams that are being put into the walls. Where should those braces be in regards to your operations? A number of times we'll run into a building that we find out that these X-braces are in a place where they shouldn't be. And you actually have to, they impede the growth operations and the phasing for the additions for the buildings all the time. Those are just two examples right there where if proper planning was done, you would have a much more functional building.
Well, that leads me to my next question, because clearly planning has to be done in the conceptual phase in a proper manner. So what are some of the issues that crop up in that concept phase that either were not taken into consideration, weren't considered properly, or whatever, that now are adding cost, and I would imagine considerable cost, in the building phase?
One of the things that we typically find is that a company has ended up doing their budgeting. They'll do their budget in August. They'll go through and they'll get the capital approved for it. And that project actually won't go in line until maybe the end of the following year. So the first thing that you're dealing with is you're dealing with a 12-month-old number. And you're going to the marketplace, and now you have to go live with that project. Now there's a number of things that could happen with that number over time. You could have escalation in material costs, you could have labor issues, you could have a number of different things, shortage of equipment. These are things now that are going to impede the progress of that project. One of the things that we like our customers to do is that we like them to do something that's called, we've kind of coined as bridging documents. Bridging documents is to go to your C level and ask to see if you can get a small chunk of money to actually go through and develop drawings at a higher level than what you've established to get the number in the first place, and actually go to the marketplace to define and actually recreate that budget to see if it's in line with what you got approved with. Because a number of times with what we do is we get into a project, we'll get a number, we go to the marketplace, we'll design this thing, and it's a lot higher than what was approved. Now you got to start all over. You wasted 3 or 4 months of your time, and you needed that building or whatever it may have been already. So these are the things, low risk money, upfront, well spent money in our opinion, in order to verify projects that have been approved 6 to 12 months earlier.
So not only is money wasted, but now we've got delays built in as well, compounding that situation. You mentioned spalling just a moment ago. I know that you stressed just how important floor slabs are in the construction of one of these facilities. Let's talk about that a little bit more, how that affects material handling, equipment or decisions rather that are made in one of these facilities. Let's develop that if we can.
Yeah, the floor is the most important thing that's in a warehouse. And the one thing that you typically don't like is floor joints. And there are a number of different things out in the marketplace. Technology has allowed us to expand the duration or the lengths of the floor cuts or the expansion joints within facilities. The reason that you want to do this is because floor joints are a maintenance issue. There's a lot of maintenance in regards to caulking them. There's a lot of issues in regards to having the floor trucks and the floor smooth so that they don't have a lot of maintenance on the wheels, on the actual, as I mentioned, on the welds of the equipment itself, and just the wear and tear that it takes up within this thing. So the technology has allowed us to bring new facets into the floors themselves that allow the floor joints to expand, almost to the point where you can get them at 100 feet now, where conventional floor joints are at 25 feet. And this allows for the reduction of maintenance and durability on the equipment. Now there is a cost, of course, associated with doing that. And those are the things that have to be weighed when you put the projects together. And these are the things that we try to help our clients with. Other things that have happened on the floor as well is that you can put new surfacing and types of surfaces on top of it so that they're dust proof, basically. And as you well know, working in facilities before, dust can be a big issue, and you don't want dust on top of your products because it reflects on your quality aspects, going to your clients as well. So these are things that you can actually implement at the upfront stages, and if you want to do it, you budget them appropriately so they're incorporated when going forward.
Scott, final question. Warehouse designs right now, unique designs, unique things going on there. What's your view?
Well, the marketplace has allowed us to get very creative over these last 3 or 4 years. A lot of things that we're doing right now is that we're actually taking different types of systems and putting them into buildings so that they're almost like hybrids. And what that means is that we're doing pre-engineered metal frames in conjunction with tilt-up wall systems, which was probably never done before. We're doing conventional frame buildings now with engineering parts and pieces of it as well. And this is solely based off of cost and getting to the market more quickly. We're doing a lot more things in regards to sustainability, in regards to putting more lighting on the sides of buildings, a lot more skylights as well, getting in the solar type panels going forward. And then the last thing is on the HVAC systems, a lot more technology. It's like everything that's in the conference here is that the systems are all being driven more by technology going forward, so that when if there's 5 minutes of unuse, there's no reason to have those units on, so let's shut them down. Let's be more efficient in the building.
Shut them down and save some money. great overview of what's going on in warehouse design. Thank you so much, Scott, for finding time to speak with us today.
Thank you.
Well, there's Scott Pribula, Trend Systems, speaking with us about warehouse layout and design, customized best practices. Thank you for watching.